know?
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me jump on this.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into your life as a consultant, I want to begin. My first question is 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out this whole pandemic thing. How did you end up making it through this pandemic and how did it change you?
So the professionally, the pandemic actually skyrocketed my business.
Yeah.
Because I was at that point in time, I was actually still in the insurance business. I was selling Medicare plans. So Medicare Advantage, prescription drug plans, supplement plans. That's what my business was, and that I was still selling. And especially because people couldn't go face to face. That's how the industry was. And a lot of the agents are approaching Medicare age as well. So they just really weren't using the technology that I was able to use and was able to really just kept on going. My business doubled overnight,
Wow.
which was good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for all the agents
Yeah.
because it's either you adapt to technology or you don't.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So things have obviously changed. Let's get into what you do right now on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. One of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
So what I do now is I help other insurance agencies go and make their company worth 8 figures. So a lot of the people in the insurance business are close. They just don't know what they need, like structure, systems. And then once you have those two, then we scale, either scaling through acquisitions or scaling through organic growth, which is just hitting the pavement. So what I do is I just show agencies and agents the pathway to an 8 figure exit when they're ready.
The one thing that gets me about insurance, and this is just some like civilian asking you this that doesn't have any keen insight on what you do and how the insurance game works. But I hear about all these payouts and all just overall, okay? All right. So I'm playing the math in my head. That's just how my brain works. And I'm thinking these guys are going along and collecting premiums. Nothing's happening month after month after month for all of these people. So the payouts that are going out ultimately aren't a big deal. Am I right or wrong in that? How does the whole poker game of insurance ultimately break down for a civilian brain like myself and others out there to understand?
So easy way to understand is you're paying a premium for your car insurance
Yeah.
to State Farm. State Farm is paying the agent X a percentage, which could be 8, 10, 12, 15%, whatever. And that agent gets that month in, month out. And the reason insurance is attractive to a lot of people is because one, you need to have insurance. Two, it's a recurring revenue. So like our company was purchased by a VC firm backed where they're playing the long game. They're trying to buy all these people up and either go IPO or sell to another private equity firm.
Okay.
But the reason insurance is so attractive, like, is really the reoccurring revenue. Like, I was making $300 per person per year. It's not sexy,
Right.
but when you have 1,000 clients,
Yeah.
well, now you got 300,000 coming in if you do nothing. So that's where a lot of these agents like will do this in retirement and just let it sit there, because they can collect this reoccurring revenue and answer questions when they come about. Because how many times, I'm going to ask you a question. How many times do you call your insurance agent a year?
I am very reactive, only if I have to.
So that's the thing is like the service work on health insurance is very minimal.
Yeah.
The service work on home and auto insurance is a lot higher because if you have 1,000 clients, I will put money on it. Someone's buying a car every month. It's just bound to happen. So you're doing a lot more planned servicing than on the health insurance because nobody wants to use their health insurance, but everybody has it.
Yeah. It totally makes sense. It's almost like taxes. Like when the government puts taxes on everything you buy. Like I'll look at the receipts sometimes and I'm like, my God, these guys are making a killing. This is the business to get into. So every single thing you do in the cars and everything. So it's kind of, and you just opened up a curtain in my brain. Now it makes sense. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I mean, the government's not really doing, I mean, they're doing streets and there's doing different things, but overall, they're collecting money constantly from us. And they're just
Yeah.
kind of laying it back. And when do we ever reach out to the government?
Hmm.
We don't
Yeah.
want to. We don't want to go to the DMV. We don't want anything to do with it, you know?
No, not at all. And that's why I did health insurance, is because
Yeah.
one, I can do it anywhere. I got my computer. I do like to travel. So I could do it anywhere. And two, it's the long game. You're playing the long game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people also don't know, like, your book is worth money. And that's where I'm trying to like change everybody's mindset, is like there's not really, there's everyone out there says they're a consultant. But the one thing where I'm hanging my hat on is I don't care who you work with. I'm not going to recruit you. Like, I'm not going to have any contracts. My entire goal in my program is you're paying me for my services and I'm going to help you get to 8 figures. We're not going to go through a recruiting frenzy. Like, that's not how I operate.
Yeah. That makes total sense. Thank you for that. And before we move on here, I want to know when you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Hmm. I wanted to be an accountant.
Yeah.
I love numbers. So I'm
Okay.
I'm I'm a huge number guy. Um, but I'm not a big test guy.
Okay.
And you have to be a CPA to, most likely a CPA for the accounting. But I also am not someone who likes the 9 to 5 job. So
Yeah.
I like the entrepreneur job where you can, hey, you work when you want to work, but obviously you're in 100% control, good and bad.
Yeah. So you got the best of both worlds right now.
Right
You didn't
now,
have to take a test and you got that latitude to be an entrepreneur.
yes.
Yeah. So how did you get here? Take me back to your childhood. What were the seeds that were planted for you to be a numbers guy and to grow into this role right now of making people a lot of money?
So back in childhood, I love money. I love counting money, cash. Like I was a huge cash guy. And my grandpa always like gave us cash. Like when he was back, like when I was 4, 5, 6. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
However, when I was getting into college, towards the end of college, I was approached by Northwestern Mutual to do their internship program, and I was quite successful at it when I was there. I did it for 10 months, and I just was like, I was graduating college. My parents were like, always like, hey, you need to have a job, you need to have steady income. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I like money, so let's go work at a bank.
Yeah.
But however, at before I went to the bank, I reached out to a guy who turned into be my mentor and business partner. And I said, hey, I want to do insurance. I want to try this health insurance. That's what he was doing for a long time. Um, and he also told me, go get a job. You're not ready. And I was like, okay, so my parents are telling me go get a job. He's telling me go get a job. So I did that. I worked for a credit union. They moved me down actually closer to your neck of the woods, Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
They sent me down there for a 10-week stint, stint, to help out with the merger. So I went down there. I helped. They merged with another credit union down there, so I helped them facilitate that with somebody else. And then towards the end, they were like, "Hey, we want you to move down here." I'm like, I had gotten engaged to my wife that December, and I was like, you know what, honey, we got nothing really tying us, no kids, no dog. Like, let's just go. Let's do it. And we were there for 2.5 years, had a blast in Des Moines. Um, and then I was like, you know what, I want to get back into insurance. So I reached back out to the guy who told me you're not ready. 2 years to the date, I reached out to him. I said, hey, I want to do this. And he was like, okay. He's like, you're in Iowa and I'm in Wisconsin. Um, I don't have like the carrier support down there, but let's try it. So I did that for the first October of 2017 was my first ever AEP, annual enrollment period. And it was massive failure. I wrote 12 apps. I was like, oh, crap. But I was still working full time. And then in March of 18, I left the banking world and I was driving from Des Moines, Iowa to Beloit, Wisconsin, 4.5 hours one way on Monday. Ran appointments Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and went back for the weekend. Did that for 2 months and totaled 2 cars in less than 2 weeks of each other. Then we moved back to Wisconsin. And then it just took off. Then my mentor, we decided became business partners, bought some agencies. I bought into his agency, and then we sold it all in August of 22.
Wow.
So it's kind of wild ride in a
Yeah.
short period of time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, who's been kind of your inspiration, your hero in your life?
That's a trick question. And the reason I say that is because obviously things change in life. Like your values change, your outlook on things. And the thing is, what people think about is like, it's okay for people to come and go in your life. And I think society is really told that it's not okay. Like your childhood friends have to be your lifelong friends. Like, no, they don't. I still talk to my core high school buddies, but the thing is we might talk once or twice a year. But when we talk, it's like you never stopped. Um, like when I was growing up, my father was a huge piece of my life. All throughout sports, like my parents really supported us as much as they could. And then my business partner, mentor, he was a huge part of my early professional life. And actually, this year I hired a wealth mentor, which not a wealth advisor, just somebody who literally would just talk money and just because that's something people just don't talk about. Like
Yeah.
it's money, religion, like you don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's not who I am. I love money. I love talking about it. I'm an open book. You can ask me any single question and I'll tell you. Unless if it's tied to an NDA, obviously I won't. But everything is open in my eyes. So now my mentor's my wealth coach. He literally helped me jumpstart this consulting business, and he's been a huge help on that side.
So, let me ask you this. If you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
Um, there's two people that come to my mind: Mark
Okay.
Cuban
Okay.
and Dan Martell. Those are the
Okay.
two that come to my mind like right away. Um, but once again, they're two completely different conversations I would have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's I actually really, really like that question because like what I love to meet Justin Thomas, 100%. But like I would love to meet Justin Thomas, go play golf with him.
Yeah.
Like my country club I belong to, Steve Stricker's there. So like I see Steve probably once a week or once every other week because he's at the course. Um, it just depends. Like what topic I want to talk about,
Yep.
and then there's that person.
So what's your motivation every day? What gets you out of bed? What gets you, I know you're a family man, but what gets you ultimately motivated as a professional to help your clients get to a better place and to also grow as a human being?
Um, it's a great question. Last week in my mentor call, we actually talked about like values and visions. And I think what besides obviously I've always told everybody I do what I do because of my why. And my why is always my family. To provide a life for for my wife, our two kids that I was not may or may not was able to have when I was younger. For the past 3 years, winter in Gulf Shores, Alabama, for 2 months at 29, 28 years old. Like that's just not a normal person. But like I want to help shape people that and show them that there's enough abundance for everybody. You don't need to be greedy. And if you want something, go get it. Like if you want an 8-figure exit, you can do it. It's gonna take some work, but you can do it.
So, of all of the clients that you've helped, what is and worked with, what is your favorite client success story?
Um, it was actually my first. So the consulting business is relatively new. So I took on 2 clients as like beta clients. And my first client, I was able to get them a low to mid 7-figure value add without them giving up any equity. So just the little things, it's like you as an entrepreneur, you're doing all of like you're always working in your business. Like, are you ever working on your business and just showing people that, hey, there are other ways that you can generate revenue without selling your business that's going to make you more appealing to a future buyer. So that was my first win as next gen was giving showing those people the the value that I was able to provide them.
So, of all of these things that you've done professionally, you've kind of gone through the full timeline here. What are you the proudest of? What rises to the top for you?
Right now, it was becoming a multimillionaire when we sold at the age of 29. So I was able to do that. And then the other thing to go with that, earlier this year, I won 40 under 40 by In Business magazine. Um, so those are the things. I've always been a guy like I hate showing off. Like I would rather show you my work than just talk about it.
Yeah.
But people say, Mike, like I have this 40 under 40 plaque right there.
Yeah.
And I told somebody this on Monday. He goes, "You did, and you don't tell you like you don't. I don't want to say brag about it, but like you don't tell anybody." I was like, "No," but this thing is, it's okay. It's okay, and I want people to know, like, it's okay if you have a win, share it. It's okay to share it.
Hmm.
It's not pumping an ego. You're
Yeah.
not bragging. Like if you earn it, tell everybody.
Yeah.
And that's for something I just never did.
Yeah.
And that was once again just kind of how I was coming up in the business world is that you show with your actions, not your plaques.
I totally get that. So let me ask you this. If you have a dream tonight, you run into the 18-year-old version of you. You can give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give, and would that young version of you listen?
Uh Me at 18, hell no. No.
I get it.
Um the lesson I would tell them is time is on your side to a point. Like in college, I partied, and it's like it's not. You can spend your younger years doing that, but in your 20s, you got to figure out what you love. Like, what do you want to do? You and find out what you want to love, and then when in your 30s, that's really when you go all out. Like, hone your skill, create a business, and don't give up equity. Equity is the most powerful thing. Um, I wish we would have waited when we sold a little bit, just because I just bought into the agency and timing timing was right, but it wasn't right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, I
So
think it's just you gotta find what you want to do
yeah,
and what you really love to do, and that helps people. You'll be more successful than you can even think of.
totally agree. So at the end of the day, Mike, everyone has a perception of you. family, friends, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
These are good questions.
Good.
These
It's
these are questions that no one has ever asked.
well, that's good. You got to get to the heart of the matter, man. You know?
Yeah. I think I would break myself down that I'm hardworking. I'll give I'll help anybody out. That is very hardworking, caring, but I would also say I'm very blunt. And my wife hates when I use that word, but I call it how it is. Like I can sniff BS. I don't know if you can swear or not, but I sniff BS out real quick.
Yeah.
And if you are, I'm not going to take it. So that's kind of how I would explain myself. And massive, I lived through that. There's enough money out here for everybody. Like
Yeah.
anybody can be successful.
So you have to dispense good advice and counsel to your clients. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Work smarter, not harder.
I get that.
That's that's probably the first thing that comes to my head.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to delve into your world, hire you, learn more about what you're doing, reach out, the good business, where do they go?
So they can go to MikeMathweg.com. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Everything's underneath Mike Mathweg. The company's Next Gen Consulting. There's Facebook and Google out there.
Right on. Mike and Madison, thank you, my man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the story. Keep doing the good work. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Take care.